Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Little Give. I'm excited to peel back the layers of our guest today. Go ahead, introduce yourself. Tell us where you're from. Tell us what you're all about.
Hi, I'm Carrie Reichartz. I am from New Berlin, Wisconsin, which is just an outskirts of Milwaukee, Wisconsin. But now I spend about half the year, almost half the year, over in Mombasa, Kenya, and we'll talk more about that later. I guess I'm a former lawyer turned missionary, and I think we'll share more on that as we go.
Well, that sounds like a great place to start for me. How do you go from lawyer to missionary? Come on, give us all the details.
Oh yeah, that was a bit of a long story, but started with obviously went to law school, did my thing, had two kids in law school. One was an undergrad, and then I kind of worked my way up the ladder of I was a family law lawyer and worked my way up the ladder. And I thought, oh, once I got there, I would feel something. I thought fulfill. I don't know what the word was, but I would feel something different than I felt before. And as I did that, and when I got to the top of that, it was like, it's still empty. I don't know what's going on, but it's still empty. And now I have to work harder, longer, and faster to keep that up and, of course, grow from there. And I had an opportunity to go to Kenya with my local church here in Waukesha, Wisconsin. Fox River, and I just felt like I should go. Like it wasn't something I ever wanted to do. I never wanted to travel the world. I really wanted to hopefully get to the 50 states, but probably not Alaska and Hawaii because they were just too far away. Ended up going on this trip. It was definitely a faith journey. I didn't have the finances. I was a single mom at the time, with two. I don't know how old. I guess they were 9 and 7 at the time, and running my own law office at the time. So finances were tight. So we were doing okay, but they were tight. But it was a faith journey. We were able to raise the money. I ended up going with my son the first time. And once I got there, I just couldn't believe that people still live like that today. I don't know how I live like this here while they live there with in a mud hut with no access to water, definitely no running water, barely going to school. Many of the children not going to school for lack of funds, eating every other day if they're lucky. Children under 5 dying, just a lot. And I couldn't believe. I knew that happened in the world, but I didn't think it happened this much and this big and all of that. And so when I came back, it was like, I don't know what I'm supposed to do, but I know I'm not feeling fulfilled over here. And I don't know what I'm supposed to do over there because I don't know how to raise money. I don't know how to do any of that. I know how to be a lawyer, and a good one. I got some awards for being a lawyer and different things. And so it was just a real process of what am I supposed to do with this? So at first, I just started helping missionaries get their 501c3 status. So I would do all the legal paperwork and help them in all of those ways. And then it turned into more people than the people I knew in Kenya. And I was just helping a lot of people do that. I also opened up a home daycare. So that was kind of my income source as I ran these other things. And yes, from lawyer to missionary, that book is my first book. I have many books out there, but that is my first book. And that kind of outlines that beginning journey of Kenya, the first trip and many trips, maybe about 10 or 12 trips after that as well, kind of outlines that one by one, and just the journey with Christ, the journey with just figuring out the next steps and how to figure that out, all of those kind of things. My family with that as well, and the people that I met along the way in Kenya. People that read it tell me they feel like they're there with me as I'm kind of walking that out. And so that was my first book, and it outlines that first part of that journey. And then it kept growing from there. I had a TV appearance, and things really started to grow really fast. And so I had to close my daycare so I could move into full-time mission work, really giving a voice for the voiceless of the girls and women of Vipingo, Kenya. So the reality is I shared a bit of their reality, no electricity. The reality is they have no money for anything. They have no availability. Most of the girls do not get to go to school because it's a Muslim dominated culture. And so the boys get to go to the school, but the women and the girls don't. And so then, of course, they don't know how to run a business. They don't know how to add. They don't know how to write their own names. They don't know how to do anything. And they're not even invited to family meetings. So we come in, Mercy's Light family comes in, and we do a lot, and I'm sure we'll talk more about this. But the real big thing that we do is literacy. We help the girls and we help the women of the village get with literacy, and then the idea of growing that into a small business. So yeah, this looks like one of the streets in Vipingo. That definitely looks like it. Lots of vegetation when it's the green season, which is right now, rainy season. Otherwise, it would be very, 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 very dry, and you just see sticks where those bushes are. So I guess that gives you a little of a snapshot.
Yes, that's definitely a snapshot. I just want to go back to the beginning where you don't even really have a desire to go, and then you end up going because you're like, okay, well, let me just go. And you feel kind of like this pull to go. You go, and then you see these things with your own eyes, and you're like, wow. And a lot of people might just say, wow, that's a terrible problem for them. And then they go back to their law practice and move on with their lives. What do you think it is about you that made you go, hold on a second, I don't know what to do, but I got to figure something out? And then you did.
Yeah, I don't know exactly. I guess, I had been through my own life traumas, as a child, and I really hadn't I guess I was starting to work through those things as this process was kind of happening. And yeah, I was. And so I guess maybe part of that, like, was that resilience and that idea of perseverance. And when I was there, like, I was just hysterically crying constantly, like, just hysterically. And it was like, I don't understand why this is affecting me this bad. Like, my point was to come for the 10, 12 days, go home, go on with my life. Like, that was the point. This was never about a life change other than an experience, a travel experience. And I couldn't, like, what I saw, like, there was just something. And I really think that was the Holy Spirit, and was manifesting itself, as the tears and that idea of, there's something for you here. I have a mission for you here. I didn't know what that was, and it took me many years to figure out what that was. Even in the From Lawyer to Missionary book, I still don't know what that is. When I finished that book, I have an idea, and I'm growing and I'm going and I keep going back, but I don't know what the final thing is. Now I know what the final thing is. And there's other books. Rocket Your Nonprofit actually is the story of Raising Up Mercy's Light, which is a maternity home that helps girls that have been through sexual trauma. It might be human trafficking. It might be a lot of different things like that. And it's about how the Lord really led me on that journey of raising up Mercy's Light, and then helping someone else that maybe wants to start up their own, or join someone else in starting up their own. And so that's what that book is about. And it really outlines, like, how did I do it? What did that look like? The ups, the downs, the everything in between, how to push through those things, and all of that kind of thing. So I guess I would say, the Holy Spirit, and just perseverance, and something that life had taught me even before Kenya, and that idea of, I don't give up easy. Like, life isn't easy, and it's not meant to be easy, and it's okay. He's with you, and he'll walk you through those things, and you'll see the other side if you stick with it.
Hi, my name is Justin Clark, and I'm the president of the board of directors for Driving Single Parents, a 501c3 nonprofit serving the citizens of San Antonio and Bexar County, Texas. I'm here today to tell you a little bit about the great work that our organization is doing for the citizens of San Antonio. What you're about to see is just a few photos and videos of the way that we're changing lives for single parents in and around San Antonio, Texas. Our first giveaway took place in April of 2017, just one short month after the formation of our organization. John, a Bexar County resident, was the victim of a horrible drunk driver incident. He and his daughter survived the crash, and we were so proud to give our first car to this deserving family. Fast forward to 2020, a very difficult year for nonprofits. We were able to secure 4 vehicles for single parents in need. Our organization, including our board of directors, list of partners, and portfolio of people we've been able to help in San Antonio, continues to grow, and it's all thanks to donors and local community organizations that have helped us along the way. This giveaway took place in 2021 and shows that we continue to help single parents even after the struggles brought about by COVID-19. Because of limited funds and the overwhelming need, we at Driving Single Parents are incredibly selective with the people we help. Some are victims of domestic violence. Others had a spouse pass away tragically. or otherwise fell on hard times. These single parents show adversity in the face of challenge and aren't looking for a handout. We offer a hand up and help get them back in the driver's seat. Many of the single parents we help go on to graduate college, get promotions, get married, mentor others, and some have even been so touched by the gift we gave them that they have decided to join our board of directors to pay it forward and ensure the continued growth of our organization. If you would like to help our organization continue to grow and continue to help single parents in need in San Antonio, Texas, and Bexar County, Texas, we would really appreciate your support. Please visit us online at www.drivingsingleparents.org. Thank you.
So you would say that like it was the contrast between the life that you lived here in America and then the life that was being lived there that really sparked the emotion in you and this drive in you to really want to make the change. Is that how you would describe it?
Yeah. Like it was just, it wasn't fair. It's not fair that I live like this and they live like that. Like, that's not fair. I would love to sell everything and let that be the answer, but it's not. And money is really not the answer. They need a little money. There is a little bit of money that's needed to get this going, but it's not a lot about a big amount of money. It's about commitment, long-term commitment. It's about listening, hearing, letting them be heard, letting them be seen, letting them, learn literacy. So bring some teachers that are willing to teach them to learn, literacy, to be able to get the things that for me were I didn't even like doing, right? Like I didn't like going to school. I didn't love those things. But yet they were always there and available. And then to see, these women and the girls not have access to that. It's like, well, that's just not fair. Like they at least need a leg up. Like I can't solve all their problems, but I can give them something for them to then build and grow on. And for us, it's not all of our programs are about empowering. It's not about doing it for them. It's not about bringing them money to solve their problems. It's about teaching them how to fish so they can fish every single day of the rest of their lives and train the women around them how to do the same thing. And I don't mean that literally, though some do that literally. Most of it is, they're selling this and they're selling that. They're selling different things that are locally sustainable. Like this isn't about bringing things to the US or anywhere else and selling them, though we're open to that, to expand more. But really for the women, it's about selling locally and being able to sustain themselves and their children without worry. And hopefully more than that. Like I want them to be more than sustaining, but that's the first step.
Yeah, I love that. I love how you talk about, teach them how to do it themselves and not do it for them. I founded a nonprofit as well called Driving Single Parents, and we give away cars to single parents in need. And it's very much the same where it's like, if I give you a gallon of milk, you need another one in 2 days. If I give you diapers for your child, you're going to need them again next week. It's more about, let me give you a tool so that you can use that tool to go on and feed your family for the rest of, the time that's necessary, the rest of your life, and get those higher paying jobs and get yourself to education and all the things. So I love that you talk about how there is no intention of doing it for them. It's the desire to teach them how to do it for themselves. What sparked that in you to do it in that way?
I guess I would say just different things that I'd seen along the way, different people doing missions and seeing like, oh my gosh, like you're going to have to do this forever. Like, and you're going to die. And then what? And then someone else is going to have to do it forever. And is that really helping? Right? Like feeding constantly, there's a need for food, right? Like they have to be able to sustain themselves. So short-term feeding is a good thing. But if you're not doing something more than that, you'll have to be there forever. And I want to work myself out of a job. I want it to be that they're able to do this themselves and then do it for them, the people around them as well. And that idea of sustainability, I guess, is the bottom line there, right? It's not sustainable to do that forever. Like it's not going to be something that is sustainable, and especially when you're talking cross continents. And so like they need to be able to do this. And I also like, for my own, childhood traumas, like I know how it feels to like not have enough, not be enough, not be able to get myself out of it kind of a thing. And then kind of be dependent on people, in a codependent kind of way, my own fault, other people's alongside that. And that idea of like, I didn't want that from them. I didn't want it for me anymore. And I sure as heck didn't want to produce that in anyone else. And so just that idea of they can do this. They have value, they have worth, and they have skills. So we just need to dig into those skills and then get them set up so they can then, run with that after they show us that motivation. And so, and then the other thing with that would be different things conferences that I had gone to along the way. Acton, ACTON Institute, which is in Grand Rapids, Michigan. They had some different Bible studies and different conferences that they had. I don't know if Bible study is the right word, but that idea of how it was called Poverty Cure. And they have a movie out also as well. But that idea of how do we cure poverty? And the way we cure poverty is starting small to medium-sized businesses. That's how you cure poverty. You're not going to give the Kenyan government all this money and expect that it's going to trickle down to the people, because it's not going to. We've tried that and it's not working. We've tried it for many, many years. We need to start at the ground and work our way up. That's not clean and easy, right? A lot of these women are in abusive marriages. The girls that come to our rescue center, some of them have been human trafficked by their own parents and grandparents. Some of them have been sold into marriage at 12 years old, pregnant at 13. Like, it's messy, it's dirty, it's not fun, it's not clean. But if you don't get in there at that grassroots level and then start with literacy, right? We're starting with, how do you pronounce A? How do you draw an A? Like, this is the level of literacy that we start at. And we have a 3-year program that we walk them through that ends with business development. And it's working. We're seeing that happen with our girls. We're seeing that happen with our women. We're seeing great progress, and we're learning. Like I said, I'm a lawyer. I am not a business person. This is not, fundraising, all of those things is not where I got education. Yet that's where the Lord has me. And we're seeing that walked out, and it's really, really awesome. And we're learning lessons along the way of ways we can do it better. And then we do that. We implement those changes. So we're going to see more and more and more traction and progress for our girls and our women. And it's just amazing to see them go from absolutely voiceless. Like, some people like to say, well, they're not voiceless, they have a voice. It's like, well, you haven't been there. Like, no, they don't. They are kicked out of their homes when there's a family meeting because they are not allowed, right? They don't have a voice. And I am that voice until they have their own voice that people actually will listen. And that's starting to happen already within Kenya. And I know it's going to grow and grow more and more. And then my job gets to be less and less, which is exactly what I want.
Hi, my name is Andrew Fraley, and I believe that sometimes we all need a little bit of help. If you're in the San Antonio community and you need some legal help, call me at 210-725-4658.
Yeah. So you mentioned they're not allowed to have education, and they're not allowed to work. They're not allowed to be home for the family meetings and all these things. Is there resistance to what you're trying to do and give them that education and give them the safe space and help them with businesses? Is there resistance there?
So sometimes we'll run into resistance, not so much with the community, because the community needs it. They want it and they need it, and they know they need it. I don't know. The men probably aren't paying attention. I don't know. And some of the men do know, because we have some Muslim women that come to our program. We are a Christian-based program. And we have some Muslim women that come, and they say that their husbands are super excited for them, that they're actually going to get this education. I'm sure there's people out there that are not happy with what we're doing. I just don't tend to focus on that, because I know my God is bigger than all of that. So I don't need to. And so we just focus on the work. We focus on the women that are in front of us and the girls that are in front of us. And we just do our day to day, and we reflect and we analyze and say, okay, how can we do this better? How can we do it faster? What are some things that we can put in place? We're working right now on a literacy workbook. So each woman that comes into the program will get this workbook starting at preschool level, all the way up to 6th grade, which is kind of an adult literacy level. And we've got some teachers here in the US that are working on pulling that together in conjunction with some Kenyan teachers that are kind of partnering with us on that. And so that idea of it's self-paced learning, but it's done as a group. And we bring literacy games over there and all of those kind of things. And so yeah, is there resistance? Yeah, there's some. But I just don't spend my time thinking about that. And I deal with it when I need to deal with it, because it's there when I need to. But a lot of times it's not something I need to deal with. It's just I need to stay focused on where I'm supposed to stay focused. And that's just a distraction that I can allow to distract me, or I can stay focused on the work that we're there to do and do it well and do it better. Once in a while, there might be a government official, or there might be something that I do need to deal with, and we'll do that. But generally, we just stay focused on the work, and whatever that is. I will say also with that, we are starting an outreach to men. It's the men's Bible study local there asked us if we would help them start a soccer team, and they're going to do discipleship with that. And so, yeah, we said, yeah, we'll get you some soccer balls, we'll get you some t-shirts. They've got goals there because there's a school right there. And so we're like, yeah, we can help you with that. And so we are being really cognizant of the fact that as we're growing, we need to make sure that we're not alienating, of course, half the population, and that we're working with them too. Because we've had men come to us wanting to do literacy, and we're willing to do that. But they asked us to start here. And so that's what we're doing. We don't want to intermix the women and men together in literacy. We need to keep that separate so they can feel free to grow and, just share, because women are very, very quiet. They won't even, it's hard to get them to share even just among women, let alone bringing in, men into that mix. So.
Well, I think it's amazing the work that you're doing and how much thought has gone into making sure it's valuable and productive and helpful, and teaching them how to, get themselves to the next level. And I think that's just amazing, all that you're doing. You mentioned the books that you've written. How did that transpire? Here you are, you're doing all of this amazing work already, and there's a lot of going into that and helping people and all the things. And then you somehow or another say, I think I need to write a book about this. How'd that come about?
That was not necessarily by choice. I was not something I've written like 13 books. I still don't think of myself as an author. I sit down with the Lord and I'm like, okay, tell me what you want me to say, because I have nothing. So just give me something to say, because it was him that was kind of leading. And so the first one actually came out of kind of a traumatic event. I had been in Kenya. I had been working with a lawyer and a psychologist, and we were working on developing an adoption center, and with that, a pregnancy crisis center down the road. And I had gone to Kenya, and the relationship, I'll spare you the details, but the relationship fizzled. And it was like, and I didn't know why. Like, I was like, what? I don't know what's going on here. Like, what even happened here? I don't even know what happened here. And when I came home, I wasn't sure if I was ever going back. And I was probably about trip 12 or 13 to Kenya. And then that's where this book right here, From Lawyer to Missionary, came. I came home because, like I said, I wasn't sure if I was going back. And I was like, well, I need to process what I've learned so far, so I can take that with me wherever I go, going back to Kenya or whatever it is that's next for me here. And so I just went back through my blog posts, which were really bad, and my pictures and all of that. And it was through writing this book right here, that is when I look back over all of those things, because I had met with people, a lot of people, government officials, women in the village, teenagers, pastors, orphanages, like all of the things. I would go, I went for probably 12 trips. And that's all I did, was meet with people. Like, tell me what you see the needs are. Where do you see the needs? What are the needs? Tell me what the needs are. And I wasn't really seeing a theme. Like, I heard things, but I wasn't seeing a great theme that like really resonated with me necessarily. And when I wrote that book, I saw the theme, and it was pregnant girls are thrown to the streets after they're found pregnant with nowhere to go. They're kicked out of school, they're kicked out of their homes, and they're living on the streets. Somebody needs to help. And when I went back to write that book, I saw every single one of those conversations, and I couldn't even tell you, there was probably hundreds, maybe even 1,000 meetings that I had, because I would have multiple a day, and I'd be there for 2 weeks at a time, if not longer. Every single one of those meetings talked about those girls. And then I looked at my own life history of early pregnancy. I looked at my own life history of sexual trauma in childhood. And then it was like, all right, this can't be that hard. Like, we can do this. Like, this can't be that hard. The hard part would be raising money for the building. You see the building right there in this picture. And that would be the hard part. But somebody's got to be doing this. You can just go beg them for the policies, pay them for the policies, do something. But nobody was doing it. And nobody is still doing it. We're the only ones really reaching out to pregnant teens in this area of Kenya. In Nairobi, there's some things, not exactly the way we do it, but not on the coastal part of Kenya, which is where we work. And so yeah, that's kind of where that all came from. Yeah. So the other books, I'm trying to think. Yeah. Well, you talked about Rocket Your Nonprofit already. And then the I'm Enough in Christ, the pedal books, that was a compilation. We were doing some conferences for a while, really just Christian women's conferences, just teaching people who they were in Christ and all the authority that we have because of that. If we truly walk in that and want to walk in that, but if we don't even know what it is, how do we walk in it? And so in this book, you'll see forgiveness and love and beautiful and like all of the things that the Lord tells us that we are in the Bible. And it's a compilation. This is a compilation book that I put together. I've got a couple chapters in it, but it's a compilation of a lot of different authors sharing their stories on all of these topics. the different things that Christ calls us out as, chosen, all of these things, powerful, strong, all of these kind of things. And it's a compilation book of all of us sharing our stories for that, just to give examples of what does that look in real life. Because it's one thing to read the Bible, and half the time it doesn't make sense. And it's another thing then to actually see Christ in action right here in front of you and hear it in somebody's, painful story or exciting story, or, whatever that journey is for each individual person. And so that was what we did with the conferences. We had a whole group of women that came together to plan these conferences. We did a couple in Pennsylvania, a couple in Milwaukee, a couple online, and we still do some online. I think we're going to do another one in January I think it's Jacksonville, Florida. But we did some publishing out of that, and that's one of the books. And that book actually has a companion workbook with it that really helps you kind of identify those things in your own life and apply that to your own life as well. And so, yeah, that's where that book comes from. And that's what we teach our girls, right? That's the point of all that we do is discipleship. And that's what we teach our girls and our women, that there's going to be a day where you get somewhere in business that you don't know what to do. And that day is probably today and many other days in the process. And it's okay, because he does. And are we connecting with him? Are we spending the time in prayer? Are we in the word? Are we doing those things? And then having that community around us doing similar things. So then we can reach out and we can do the masterminds, right? And we can find those answers together because we have that bond and that discipleship. And it's teaching their identity in Christ, right? They need to know it before they can live it. And that's really what our real goal is there. And of course, all of these things add on to that.
Yes. Wow. You've done so many different things and so much to just carry on these beautiful missions. And I'm so grateful that you share with us and my audience and everybody else what you're doing and getting the support that you need. Why don't you tell the audience where they can find out more about all you do and about you?
Absolutely. So you can go to carriereichartz.com, and that's where you can find more about me and my speaking and all of that. But that's not my favorite website. My favorite website is mercieslight.org. That's where you can find all the amazing things that the Lord is doing in and through these women, in and through my staff. We have 22 staff over in Kenya. It's just absolutely blows your mind what is happening. And you can look for travel opportunities. You can find the book there, probably everything. And of course, you can contact me there. If you go to the contact us page, we have an administrative assistant, and she'll get you over to me with any questions or anything that you might want to chat about.
You've done so many big gives, but this show is called Little Gives. So I'm going to switch off to my little give questions. Can you give the audience an example of a little thing that they can do in their community? It might just be a little give on their end, but might make a big impact on the other side.
Oh my gosh, there is so many. Let me share a story of one of our board members. She had 3 little girls at the time. They're teenagers now, but at the time, and I don't even know how she found me, but she found me, and she reached out to ask, what she could give. And at that time, we were collecting crayons and markers. We weren't open at Mercy's Light yet, and we were bringing those to schools. And so I said, hey, just collect your crayons. I don't even need new ones, just ones that are not, super tiny, because I'm taking them that far, but they don't have to be brand new, but crayons, markers, those kind of things. And so her and her girls would just collect those and collect them from her friends, and she would bring them to me, and I would get them over to Kenya, and then we'd show them pictures of how the kids were using them, all of those kind of things. And so it's really the little things that make the biggest difference. And so it's not about the big things, and the big things happen because of a lot of little things. I didn't go to Kenya to do this. I went to Kenya with my church because it was an opportunity. And then little steps and little steps and little steps, blog posts and this and little meetings and little things add up to big things. And so reach out to us or to other people, other ministries in your area. What are some small things that would make a big difference for you? And then, if that's in your skill set, do it. If they're not in your skill set, maybe one of your friends has that skill set, and you can connect them up, and you can find somewhere else that it would work in your skill set. We do a lot of that with, computer work. We do a lot of our volunteer things remotely. So there's a lot of ways to give. It doesn't take a lot to give. And even in finances, for me, of course, we love the $1,000 and the $10,000 and the $20,000 donations. We love those. That's easy. It's fun. But I will tell you, the ones that touch my heart the most are when I'm at a craft fair and you can tell that this lady is homeless and she's digging into her bags to give $1. because I know the Lord multiplies that dollar. And that was given out of lack, and the Lord honors that. So even if it's donation and it's an actual dollar amount, like whatever that is, don't think, oh, it's not enough to make a difference. I can tell you, we can make a difference with $1. We can make a huge difference with $1. We can, of course, make more difference with $1,000 or $10,000, but we can make a huge difference with $1, $5, $10, $20. In fact, our lowest sponsorship amount that we have is meant to be low, that it's something most people can do at $33 a month. And that supports one area of 6 that our girls need per month. So that might be food or water or clothing or tailoring class or one of the 6 different areas that we need support in for our girls. And so I would say, be it with your hands and different things, those little things add up, and even with your dollars.
Great example. Can you give the audience an example of a time in your life where somebody did something little for you that might have just been a little give on their end, but really made a big impact on you and in your life?
Oh gosh, lots, and lots of that is donors. But I would say one that came to my mind when you said that was actually one of my law school professors. I was in law school and I was struggling. Like I knew everything, but I was struggling on the exams. I'm like, why am I struggling? I know this. I don't understand what the problem is. And so it wasn't my torts. It was my civil procedure professor she said, I said, but I know all of this, like, and you taught me it, so why would I rewrite it and put it back to you? She's like, but Carrie, how do I know you know it unless you write it? And so it was just this little thing of a mindset shift that I needed to have, and it was just words. She probably doesn't remember me from a hole in the wall, but I remember her, and I remember that moment, and I use that moment often for other things. Like, what little mindset shift do I need to make today that I'm believing a lie in some way, or I'm believing something that's not true, or I'm not doing something the way I could do it, or I should do it, and not in a judgmental way, but just in a way that it's like, oh, it could be a ton easier. I guess the idea of work smarter, not harder, that kind of thing. And so that she's like, slow down and write all of those things out. And so it was just, like 2 sentences. I don't even know if it was 2, it might've been 1, but I still remember to this day. And gosh, it was a long time ago, probably 20 years ago.
Yeah, you just never know when you're really making an impact for somebody. It could be the smallest little thing that you might not even remember that really, really made an impact on that other person. So I encourage everyone to always go and make those small little gives, because they really do truly make a big impact. I love it that you came on today and shared your story with us in Mercy's Light. If anybody out there is watching this, she already explained to you all the ways to find her, get to know more, get those books, all the things. Please do go visit her website and find out more and get in touch. If you are passionate about Mercy's Light and you would like to learn more about them, please go to their website, learn more, and if you can, go make a donation. A small donation, even $1 or $5 multiplied by all of you watching today, really truly makes an impact to these nonprofits. And she even told you herself they can do a lot with $1. So thank you all so much for watching, and thank you for being on today. We'll see you all next week. If you enjoyed this episode of Little Give, head on over to our website at littlegive.com. You'll be able to find all the information about previous episodes and past guests that we've had on. If you or someone you know would like to be a guest on Little Give, all the information is also on the website. And if you have a nonprofit that you love and would like to recommend be on the show, all of that information is also on the website. We really appreciate you watching today, and we can't wait to see you again next week.